Good morning, good morning, good morning. And Denise, good morning. You have said it right there. The first comment of the day. Good windy morning. My goodness, it is windy here today. I mean, you can see the curtains behind me blowing and the windows closed. The windows closed. That's coming in through the cracks, and those are newer windows. It is so windy here again today. Good morning, Denise. I hope that your morning is going well. I've been meaning to contact you and ask how Gordon is doing. Just kind of been running crazy here the last couple of days. So we've had a very, very busy week here on the farm, even though we've actually never gotten anything done. We've been like we're in circles. It seems like we're just not getting much done this morning. So last week was my birthday week, and I was busy, 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 busy. And then yesterday was our 39th wedding anniversary, and I was busy, busy, busy. And it seems like every single weekend, the weather is no good. We have all of these plans to do things here at the farm, and we are not able to get anything done. And here it's sunshiny. It looks like it's a beautiful day outside, but it is cold and windy. And I'm not going to be able to get out in the garden or anything. I'm just going to lay around today with a cup of coffee. I'm going to take on the whole role as wifey and just do what I need to do around the farm here. Inside the house, I've got some crocheting to do for tomorrow's tutorial and some editing to do, and I might take a nap. I don't know. What about you, Denise? What are your plans for today? Besides just hopefully staying in and out of this wind. My gosh, it is so windy and cold. I'm done. I'm done with, normally I don't say I'm done with winter, but right now I'm done with winter. I want to get out and work in my garden. I've got some seedlings coming up. I want to get out there. I want to get my garden going. I want to get my chicken coop refurbished and redone for my girls. You're going to take a nap too? Sounds like such a good plan. I woke up this morning and I've been on the phone with my girlfriend down in Tennessee, so I did get a shower in, but I didn't even get my hair done. Oh, you brought Gordon home yesterday. Good deal. Very, very good. Very good. I was going to contact you this weekend to see if you needed anything, and it was just so blustery and cold and windy and nasty, and Jim said we're not going anywhere, and I don't think she is either. Hello, Major. Welcome in. Good afternoon from London. You know, it's just a cold, blustery day, and I don't know if I have much to talk about today, but I thought I would come on and say hello before I get started on filming some tutorials and doing some editing. And like Denise and I were saying, maybe take a nap. You have so much to do outside, Denise. I do too. I've got so much I want to get done outside, but this wind. And, you know, Jim and I have a joke, and we usually, sometimes he'll say, you know, usually we get a lot of wind from the south, north. And he'll say, you know why it's so windy? And I'll say, why? He says, well, it's because Minnesota blows and Missouri sucks. That's why it's so windy here. And it was so windy the other day. He says, you know why it's so windy today? And I said, why? He goes, well, because Nebraska blows and Illinois sucks. So it just seems like we're just caught in the middle of this constant wind tunnel. I don't know that it's ever been so windy. Every day after day after day, we've got so much wind, which is great if you have a source for wind energy, but we don't have anything like that here. Maybe we need to put up a little tiny little 30-foot windmill or something that actually generates power, and we can harness some of this and have it run some of our stuff. So you love these colors on me. Thank you. This is a really fun little shirt, and I apologize, no hair, no makeup or anything, but I got this shirt down at the Christian Ladies thrift store, 50 cents. And I like that it's got this little drapey thing that kind of, it comes down into a V in front, hides my belly. And I like it. So you can't beat it for 50 cents. And look, Denise, it's got little zebra print in it just for you. Good morning, Lori Hooks. Welcome in. We're just discussing with the few of us that are here in chat about how it's just cold and it's windy. And I'm not able to get out in my garden and do anything. And I'm ready. We didn't have a terrible winter, but I'm ready to get outside and do something. Everybody in where we're living right now needs to have a windmill just so we can harness some of this wind energy because it's so stinking windy. We've got trees downed. We've got parts of the corn crib. The roof is missing. We have everybody's trash, and everybody has our trash, and that's just the way it is today. I will share with you, though, that was kind of interesting was poor Jim. Um, Last weekend when we got done with our cupcake stuffing, our piñata stuffing, here in Ontario, it is not windy today, but quite chilly. You know, Lori, I can handle cold days and I can handle windy days, but when it's a cold, windy day and it cuts right through you like a knife, oh, I don't like those. Yeah, Denise has shingles off of her roof too. I mean, we've got stuff off of our house. Jim just goes out, collects it, brings it inside, and then when it gets warmer, he'll be going out and he'll be hammering it all back onto the house. You know, Lori, you can see behind me when we get a gust of wind, you'll see these curtains and the blinds, they'll move. I'm trying to block the lights so you guys don't get blinded out. But you see they're moving because it's coming through the house, even though those are newer windows. And it's just really windy today. It scares you. It can be scary. We've had more damage here on this farm in the last few years from straight line winds than we have from tornadoes. We had straight line winds actually take down our entire barn. The entire barn collapsed. And Denise, who's in here, her barn went down the exact same day. We both lost our barns on the same day when we had some straight line winds come through one day. And she and I both said it's like losing an old friend. You know, that barn was there forever. That barn was probably 100 years old, and down it came. But what I was saying was, poor Jim, we got done with our cupcake stuffing on Saturday. And for Lori, who's new, we get together every Saturday, my husband and I do, and we have a piñata and we stuff it with money. We spin a little adventure wheel and we stuff it with money, and we try to decide where we're going to go on a little vacation. It's lots of fun, lots of fun. Major says he was out in the garden yesterday doing some landscape. I ache all over today. Oh, yeah. I don't do the low down stuff anymore. I have raised beds. But anyways, we finished up with our cupcake stuffing, and we decided, I don't remember if it was Saturday or Sunday. It must have been Sunday. We decided we had to run into town. We had to get a couple of small items. And for us, that's not just a quick jaunt. It's quite a ways to travel to run into town. But as we're driving and the wind is just blowing and he's struggling to stay on the road, we're driving. I'm like, oh, there's something in the ditch. And in the ditch was a very nice, and we already have one, but we can always use more, a very nice 55-gallon drum. It's hard plastic, blue. Usually it's a food grade. They've got, stuff for farms. They'll have feed, liquid fertilizer, things like that in them. And I was like, look at that barrel as we're driving by. And he's like, uh-huh. And then like a football field later, it's like, ooh, there's another one. I said, pull over. I've got plans for those barrels. They've blown out of somebody's truck. I want them. So he stops, he backs up. We get to the first one. He runs down in the ditch, which the ditches are steep. I'm not going down there. He actually pulled up the first one. He backed up and he stopped. He said, okay, jump out. And it's like, I'm not going down in that ditch. He says, you want them. You got to go in the ditch. I was like, all right. He goes, no, stay in the truck. He says, I'll go get them. So he goes down, he gets the first one, puts it in the back of the truck, backs up. There's no traffic. Like he backs up for an entire football field. Nobody's coming down the road. Stops, he gets the second one, straps them down into the truck. So we have two 55-gallon big blue drums that we're going to be using for a project coming up. I'll make sure I do a video for those because I know exactly what I'm going to do with them. And so we're driving along, and I had found a crib for free on Marketplace. So I said, well, we got to turn right here and turn left here. We're going to go pick up this crib. He's like, what do we need a crib for? Oh, I got plans. I'm going to paint it. I'm going to use it for little rungs and roosts and everything in my new little chicken coop that I want to build. I want to build a little chicken palace. My girls deserve a little better. Good morning, Marlene. Welcome in. Everything but the budgets. Girl, I'm budgeting this week because I got a bunch of free stuff I'm talking about. So and then it had the little spring that the mattress goes on, the metal portion of the crib. He goes, do we grab that? I said, yeah, grab that. He says, what for? I said, snow peas. Snow peas are going to grow up that like a trellis. We're going to put that. He goes, we're going to have just trust me. Snow peas are going to grow up that. We're going to have a little I love every year planting for my granddaughter. She doesn't have a tea garden, but she has a pea garden. And so I plant little sugar snap peas for her every year. And whenever the grandkids come over, I'll tell you what, I have a bucket of lollipops and I have sugar snap peas. And those kids run out to the garden and they pick the sugar snap peas. That makes me happier than giving them lollipops. So, so we got the crib. The crib's going to be used for the new chicken coop. The base is going to be used for sugar snap peas. And we bought all of our things that we needed in town. Frost and ice and a high of 38. So you're nowhere near going to the garden. Me neither. It's warmer today. It's still chilly cold out there and the wind is just blowing, Michelle. I'm not going out in the garden either. And I want to get outside. I really want to get outside. I need to. It's been months. I need to get out there and do something. Anyways, we're driving back home, right? And as we're driving home, he says, you keep an eye out in those ditches. You look for more buckets. I said, where would we put another 55-gallon drum? I mean, the back of the truck is full. He says, I'll strap it to the roof if I have to, because I started telling him my plans for these containers that I want. He's like, I'll pick up another one. I'll find a way. All right, all right. Hello, Lisa. Good morning. I haven't planted anything, Rochelle. It has not been warm enough. It has the wind, the rain, the cold, the snow. We had snow on Easter, and I think we're supposed to get snow this weekend. I'm not sure. Another weekend, I'm not going to get out there to get anything done. But we're driving along, and I'm like, oh, look. And he drives by. I said, stop, stop, stop. He started laughing at me because I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. He says, what? I said, stop. There's something in the ditch. Backs up. It's, I don't know, 10-inch, 12-inch, this big around. Big, long, corrugated irrigation pipe. Now, it's not one that blew from a field where they're putting irrigation pipe in. It's not like we were taking it from a farmer. It's not like that whole bunch of irrigation pipe and we just stop and pilfered. This actually blew out of somebody's truck and rolled down into the ditch because we looked around. It's like, there's nothing here that tells me that this came out of this farmer's field. Plus, there was a fence and stuff. So we stopped and got that. That thing's 14 foot long. So we wedged it in between stuff in the back and it's hanging out the back of the truck. We had to drive really slow on the way home. So he goes, what are we going to do with that? I said, I don't know. There's all kinds of stuff we can do with that. Trust me, we will find something to do with that big, long, corrugated irrigation pipe. So good morning, Gwen. Welcome in. So the whole truck was just full. So we came home with a whole bunch of free stuff. And he says, boy, it's just like a redneck Christmas around here with all this wind. I said, I know, right? We're just stopping and picking up everybody's free stuff that's blowing across the interstate. It fell off the back of a truck. Wink, wink. No, it did. It did. I was sharing with Lisa one day when we had some really bad, I think it was the December 15th storms that we had blow through. Iowa had, I believe, and I'm working on a video for that because we were in the basement that day. I think we had either 61 or 63 tornadoes that day in the state of Iowa. And I went out a few days later and I was, no kidding, 4 miles from home. And I'm driving along and I look down the ditch after I turn off of our street. And it's like, oh, there's our pool. There's our kiddie pool. There's our duck's kiddie pool. And it blew 4 miles away and into a ditch on the main paved road. We're on gravel roads. And then on the paved road, it's there in the ditch. And Lisa was like, how do you know that was your pool? Oh, I know it's my pool. Because Papa Jim had some strapping that he had screwed onto it to hold the hose so that we could fill it up easily for the ducks. And I could see the strapping. It had a strapping and he took a hole saw and he drilled a hole and I don't know. He had it all set up for the ducks. And then between the ducks and the pigs, it got broken and we needed to get a new one. And he had set it on the outside of the fence. And now it was 4 miles away in the ditch. And I know that some of the friends in my chat that I was talking to one day, they were like, yeah, okay, it's your pool. But it was our pool. Now I'm not going to walk down in that ditch to get it because like I said, or even to prove, because it's so steep down there, but I could see that it was ours. And then later I had shared with them a picture of our farm. And I said, this is how remote we are. And they're like, oh my gosh, we thought you were up against a forest or that, there's no neighbors. I'm out here in the middle of nowhere. So when I say I know that's my pool, I know that's my pool because there's nowhere else for it to come from. And they did some ditch cleanup the other day. Either that or somebody was driving by and said, look, somebody lost a perfectly good pool. And then they went and got it and realized it was cracked. So we picked up, I don't know, we picked up all kinds of good stuff. And I don't know, maybe that's what we'll do this weekend too. Maybe we'll drive around and see if there's any more free stuff after this bout of wind that we've got coming through. But I might have company this weekend. I have a friend from Illinois that I've not seen since 2010. She might be in the area, so she might be stopping by. So I don't know what we'll get done this weekend at all. I was wanting to plan something for Papa Jim and I for our 39th wedding anniversary, which was yesterday, 39 years ago. We said I do. We were just kids. And my friend from Tennessee, when she called me this morning, she goes, what'd you do yesterday for your anniversary? I made dinner. Papa Jim came home and got out of his uniform and put some comfy clothes on. And we ate dinner and fell asleep watching TV. That's how exciting things are now. Oh, good morning, Danny. Welcome. Thank you, Gwen. We just didn't do anything really exciting. We try to save that kind of stuff for the weekends, or we'll do something. We'll make up for it one way or the other. But I kind of like that. We're so low maintenance that we can just enjoy each other's company, and that's enough. It is enough. Not good littering the countryside. It's not good littering the countryside. That's true. But one man's trash is another man's treasure. So we found plenty of treasure the other day, and I know I'm going to make it work. I told Papa Jim, I said, I can take that irrigation pipe and we can cut it into sections. It'll be perfect if we want to do any kind of mound gardening. Pop those in there as little planters and grow tomatoes, whatever we want. It'll give it a nice stable, from this wind, it'll give it some stability. Hello, Heather Lynn. Welcome. Well, we got a nice little group here this morning for a windy Wednesday. So I don't know. I do have something I have something fun planned for our anniversary, even if it doesn't happen exactly on our anniversary because it was yesterday. But I don't know. It involves, I want to do this really fun thing with Papa Jim. You guys tell me what you think if you'd like to see this. What I want to do is I have a friend in California who did this with her husband for their first anniversary. And I said, I've got a big anniversary come up. I think I'll see if I can implement that for Papa Jim and I. And you get a list. You each get a list. And on the list are the same 10 items. So for instance, my list would say your spouse's favorite candy bar, something fun your spouse would like to do for themselves, something fun your spouse would like to do together, your spouse's favorite drink. And then you go on separate shopping trips and you go down your list and you secretly buy for each other. And then you come together. I think we would do a live and we would simultaneously, it's like, okay, pull out item number 5 and we'll both pull out item number 5 and see what we got for each other. Hello, David Gray. Welcome in. So yeah, I think that's kind of fun. I'd like to do that maybe this weekend because it is our anniversary week, but I do possibly have a friend coming in on Saturday. So we'll see. We'll see if that's something we get to do. And then I thought, well, that would be fun to do. And then I thought, well, I don't need more stuff. I've got so much stuff. I've got so much stuff to go through right now. Doesn't it sound like fun? I'm going to do it. If I get 5 thumbs up, there's 12 of you in here right now. If I get not thumbs up saying that you like the live, I want those too. But in the chat, if I can get some thumbs up in a chat, then I'll know. I'll put that list together. I'll get it from my friend. We will set it up. And then we will get together and we will do that. But I'm not seeing any thumbs up. Maybe I won't do it. Anyways, what are you guys thinking about the Mama's Tangles and Yarns? Have you guys watched any of the Tangles and Yarns? Do you like them? I've got a few more planned. I know I left the last one kind of hanging. There's a thumb from Denise. I like to sit over in this little chair over here with where my grandma and grandpa are, and I like telling my little stories. The barrels had lids. Yes. They have lids and they have screw-on caps with the lids. So one of my plans, I already have one. And so the one that I have is one that Papa Jim put together for me when we first moved onto the property. I've got a little John Deere riding lawnmower, and it's got a little trailer that I tow behind, and I run around the farm and I do all my little things. And we were having some water issues when we first moved here because some of our hydrants were not working. So Papa Jim took one of those big blue barrels. I don't know where he got it. Oh, there's all those thumbs up. All right, I'll do it. And he set it up in the back of this little trailer. He welded on little rebar things so that it wouldn't shift. It was stable. And he put a spigot in it. Oh, there's Major with a bunch of thumbs. Okay, we're going to do that then. I'll get the list from my friend and I will do that. Anyways, he set it up so it was really great that I could drive around and I would hold the hose and the water containers in the back, and I would just drive up to plants and I would turn on a little valve on the hose, and because of the gravity, I could just water my little plants as I drove around that were not close to the farm. And I could go fill up the animals' water and I could do all kinds of things with that. Well, we got those hydrants fixed, so we don't have to have that anymore. But I've got a really great barrel with a spigot already in it, and we're going to convert that into a really great watering system for our chickens. And I'm also going to incorporate a rain catchment for that as well. So that's one thing that I want to do with it. And then we've got some other things. Hello, Hope Dealer 316. Welcome in. We're just talking about upcycling things and doing things around the farm here, turning trash into treasure. And that's really kind of been a focus here lately, because we have the salad garden, our floating salad garden in the kitchen that we upcycled a $1 salad bar out of a restaurant into this floating lettuce garden. And guys, you should see my lettuce. Oh my gosh. Another couple weeks, we're just going to be turning around and harvesting lettuce and eating it. It is going to be so great. And then we upcycled some doggy treat containers. Hang on. We've got all these dog treat containers that we upcycled because of Lisa over at Yogi Hollow Farm. These are all Kratky containers now, and they're growing food. And then Lisa, you're going to laugh because Papa Jim came home from work last night and his hands are full. It's like, oh, he brought me something for our anniversary. And I opened the door to help him, and he's got 6 3-gallon or 3-pound Folgers coffee containers. He's like, happy anniversary. Let's grow more food. Yay. All right, Rochelle. My dad inherited your papa's little trailer. Oh, how fun. We had a barrel set up with a toilet float for our rabbit watering system. Exactly. I'm going to do rain catchment. We're going to have it set up for the animals, the coop kids, which are turkeys, chickens, guineas, and a potbelly pig, and 3 ducks. And I'm also going to have it set up so we're going to be able to have the heater in it for the winter. It has to have a lot of components for me, Gwen, because we are feeding different farm animals, we're watering different farm animals. So I can't have it too high because our little piggy can't get over the lip of something. Right now, the setup that I have, the ducks swim in it every day and I have to clean it, and it's always a mess. So I can't do the little watering cups just for the chickens because the ducks have to have the access to the water for their filtering for when they eat. The pig has to have access. So I'm coming up with all of these ways to make it accessible to every animal, but not accessible for anybody to swim in, not accessible for a duck to get a chicken in there and drown them because they're so brutal during mating season. Something where I can put the heater in it, because we do run a heater out there every winter so that the water doesn't freeze. So not sure if we're going to incorporate a float. We've been talking about it, but I also want to put it where we can get the rain water out of the gutter system, so it will automatically just fill and screen with rainwater, all kinds of fun stuff. I'm just going. My dad's work is in a machine shop, so he made that trailer not to have smooth ride with his machinist. Nice. before Papa Jim set it up to for me to drive around the farm to water everything, the grandkids were still little enough that when they would show up for a visit, he would hook up the little trailer, and we have quite the grove behind the farm, to the point to where, like I said before, some of my friends were like, we thought you were backed up to a forest, and it's not. It's just our personal grove on this 5 acres. And the kids would jump in the little trailer, and this was when we first moved here, I had this place set up so cute. I had a little trail, and I had it lined with cinder blocks with timbers, the landscape timbers, like a little fence. And we just had this little trail that he would take them for a ride back in the forest. And I had little gnomes. I had a little gnome home with a sleeping gnome in it, and a bicycle up against a tree. And they would go back by the moonshine shed and then around. And I had little hedgehog, little statues. And it was almost like a little ride at Disneyland. They loved it. And then I had some health issues, and then we had storms and the trees fell, and I just haven't cleaned it back up. And I'll be quite honest with you, one of the reasons I haven't cleaned it up and set it up like that again is not only have there been some really large trees that have come down that I just can't maneuver or get around, and we don't have the heavy equipment, but while I was on chemotherapy and I never made it back there, Papa Jim said, if you're feeling good on a day and you want to go for a walk, don't walk the trail back there, because there's deer back there. We had some deer come onto the property, and they had knocked down my choke cherries, and they made a thicket back there. So they were living back there. And I think it was wonderful that he had seen them and we had them here on the farm. But the last thing I want to do in the state that I was in, of state of weakness, physically, was I did not want to be walking back there and either come across a buck with a rack or a doe that's going to be protecting her offspring, because I would be stomped or gored to death. So I just haven't been back there. Let them have that. I like that we've got a couple of deer back there, and I just kind of leave them be. Don't know if they're even back there still. I haven't been back there in a little while. Sounds complicated and expensive. What was I talking about that's complicated and expensive? I flew right on my brain. Living in a fantasy, and why not? Yeah, and so, I've got different things around the farm here, but now the focus this year is really working on our coop. I will share with you that, was it Monday? Monday, I wake up and I see Papa Jim walking by the kitchen window with a pew-pew. And I'm like, uh-oh. Did he have to dispatch something, or what's going on? And he comes walking. He tries to keep these things from me. But I had woken up, and we had 2 foxes, 2 of them, on the property nosing around. And luckily the chickens hadn't been out yet. And I told him, I said, I don't want to know the details. Don't want to know. He says, no. He says, I have to keep an eye out. He goes, I didn't dispatch them, but we do need to keep an eye on it. So we're going to keep an eye on making sure the foxes don't come around. We've got the bigger dogs that run around, but I think they're living right here on the edge of the property. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that. Oh, the water system. It's going to be good. It's going to be good, Major. Once we get it set up. Hello, Laura from Hedgehog's Homestead. Welcome. Good morning. Good morning. You guys are really busy down at your property. Once we get everything set up, Major, it's not going to be a lot of work. Papa Jim is very handy. He's going to set it up where I won't start with the rain catchment right away. Right now we have a hose in the basement that cups up the stairs. We've got a window that we open right there and we water. So we'll be able to fill that bucket right there for now. But then later I'd like for it to be where we've got the rain catchment system. So it'll just come out of the gutters. We'll screen it so we can get some water in there. Good morning, Kansas Misfit. Never apologize for being late. Never, never. So I was so excited to find those other 2 barrels. And we're also working on a new coop run system for them to keep them safe, like I said. And now we've got foxes coming around. So now more than ever, I really need to work on really bumping up security in the chicken run for them, because I don't want any foxes or skunks. We lost one to a skunk a couple weeks ago. So but it's so windy and it's so stormy and always cold and I can't get out there. But once I get out there, I tell you, Papa Jim and I, we feed off of each other. I'll say, well, I kind of want to do this. And he'll say, oh, I can do this to improve on that. I'm like, yes, do that. I love it when he comes up with the ideas because then it's not like there's that meme. There's a meme where it says, anytime a woman says, I've been thinking, a man goes, oh, man, because this means work for him. And it's true. When I tell him I've been thinking about something, he's like, okay, because he knows it's work for him. He knows it's physical work. It's money to be spent. But I love it when I start saying, I'm thinking about doing this. And he says, I could do this and improve on that. I'm like, yes, now it's his idea. I love it. Did Mr. Jim do any research on those coins? He's not researched, but we're looking for them. And my friend in Tennessee is looking for them. Thank you, Laura. We're looking for the quarters. We're looking for the quarters. And I know that I don't have to, truthfully though, Major, I don't have to do any research on them. I can just ask my brother. My brother is a big, huge coin fanatic. He will give me more details than I want to know about it. So, did Gail come in? Hello, Gail. Welcome in. All of my wonderful friends showing up on a Wednesday morning for a nice little coffee chat. My coffee's a little cold, but that's okay. Cold coffee, warm heart, good friends. It's all good stuff. So that's what we'll be doing around the farm here coming up. If we could just get decent weather, I've got so many plans. And oh my gosh, I've got so many new plans for the nesting boxes. And I want to get out into my summer kitchen. I have to spring clean the summer kitchen so I can do some fun things in the summer kitchen. I'll be making videos out in the summer kitchen this year. But I can't get the weather to cooperate. And Denise is here. She's my neighbor, and she can attest to the fact that we just cannot get outside to get anything done between the wind and the rain and the snow. And I just leave it. Thank you. Thank you. I got this top for 50 cents. It would look much better if I would have done my hair and makeup today, but whatever, right? Sometimes this is what you get. You get fresh out of the shower, no makeup. I did brush my teeth for you though, which then really now the coffee's not as enjoyable. But I got this top for 50 cents. I love it. And it covers up my belly. It's kind of floppy in the front, so it's kind of cool. So doing more research for our traveling that we'll be doing coming up, and doing a little bit more research for some of our stories coming up for Tangles and Yarns. Put some stuff in the chat, guys. What have you guys been up to? I don't want to talk so much about myself. I want to know what you guys are up to, some things that'll spark some conversation. Oh, thank you, Kansas Misfit. I appreciate that. I appreciate it. If you guys were here on Saturday, Lisa will appreciate this if Lisa's still in here. This Saturday when we did our piñata stuffing, my son chimed in and he says, you need some greenery behind you, Mom. You need some greenery. And I was like, what? This back here needs some greenery. And I had a plant that my daughter-in-law had brought over for my birthday. It's downstairs now, so I don't neglect it and it doesn't die. But he says, yeah, you need some greenery back there. So he's bringing over a light. Papa Jim's bringing home more stuff to do Kratky, and we're getting a heat mat. And this whole buffet back here is going to be set up with plants to grow so you guys can see how the Kratky's going when I come on and go live. I understand, Lisa. I understand. I know, 50 cents. And it's got pretty sparkles. I don't know if you can see ooh, look, pretty sparkles. And I like that it's got this floppy stuff that covers up the fatness of the arms and the belly. Love it, love it. Anyways, so now between Jim and my son, they're like taking every corner of the house to grow more Kratky. Got to grow more Kratky. So Jim brought home all the pots, and this is all going to be set up. He says this weekend he hopes it's calm enough and the wind will die down long enough for him to paint some of the Kratky containers. And like I said, he brought home 6 more. I think he must, because it tells you how much he spoils those dogs and why the vet keeps telling him, stop feeding your dogs treats. They're fat. So all of this will be set up with a Kratky system. So when we go live on Wednesdays and we go live on Saturdays, you'll be able to see the progress of some of the things that we're growing back here. So Lisa, you've inspired him. And I've got my friend in Tennessee that's growing in a hydroponic system and Kratky. So you've inspired her. You've inspired a lot of people, Lisa. You need to know that. You've been a great inspiration. We had our grandson almost all week last week, except for school. Enjoyed having him spending the nights, gardening goats and baby chicks, hopefully getting my new chicken house run put up this weekend. That's wonderful, Gwen. Isn't it great when they get to come over? You really hope, you really strive for those memories so that long after you're gone, your grandchildren will look back and say, I remember going to my grandma's farm and doing this, and there were baby goats and baby chicks, and I got to spend time with my grandma. That's what all of this is about, right? I remember coming back to Iowa and spending summers with my grandpa. They are some of my fondest memories. And he didn't even live on a farm. So when I try to do these things here on the farm, that's my goal. I want my granddaughter to remember snapping string beans with me in the kitchen, like time-honored tradition, right? Gail is playing with her new die cut machine. Ooh, how fun is that? Like a Cricut? Gail, that sounds like fun. I've always kind of wanted one, but I've never really researched enough to see if I really truly want one. I would go crazy with it, let me tell you. I have been cleaning the yard and burning it. When we are done, going to mow while my husband tills the garden so I can plant seeds since the plants aren't ready yet. That is wonderful. What is Kratky? Oh, Laura, you need to head on over to Lisa Yogi Hollow and check out her Kratky system where she's growing she's growing in containers. I'm not even going to tell you too much about it, but she's growing in containers where you don't use soil. It is a neat system that was named for, excuse me, a professor, Professor Kratky with the University of Hawaii. And he came up with a method to prove how you can grow hydroponically, but without adding air. So it's a really neat system. She shared a lot of videos about it, and I was like, yeah, okay. And then one day she and I were talking with some friends when we were doing our Round the Hay Bale podcast, and this light bulb went off. It's like, oh my gosh, Lisa, I've been watching but not paying attention. I've been listening, but it hadn't entered my brain yet. And I don't know, I got the Kratky bug. Lisa gave me the Kratky bug, and I got that salad bar that we picked up for $1, and it is a floating lettuce garden. It has air, so it's not completely Kratky. But once I did that, Papa Jim was like, I've got all these containers. These could be Kratky containers, and he's just gone nuts. He's gone nuts. He's painting them, and we're planting stuff all over the place. And the more they live on the same property, so he's here all the time. But yes, I have so many memories of time with my grandma. 110% all in with mine. Yes, absolutely. Laura's working on her house plans. I saw that. Oh, a manual hand crank one, Gail. That's interesting. Isn't it spelled Kratky? Yes, with a K. Kratky with a K. So we're going to have Kratky all over the place. And I told Papa Jim, I said, well, this over here, I don't know if this is going to make it. I might just ditch this. And he says, feed it to the chickens. So even if we have stuff that we can't consume, because right now I've got 21 heads of lettuce growing and they all grow at the same time because I didn't stagger them because it was new. But once we start, it's either going to be a come and go salad bar where I can pinch off a few leaves, or we'll cut the whole head, make a salad. When I do that, then I'll replace that with a new one. And eventually we will have staggering lettuce gardens so that we will have some at a different time. We bought a stove, hooked it up, and it did not work. $1,000 for a 1-inch clock. Oh no. But one of the air fryer and oven and the burners work too. Oh goodness. Don't you hate it when that happens? I told Papa Jim, I said, I want to turn my entire basement into like a studio for when I do canning and cooking. I can just go down there. You guys won't even know I'm in a basement, and I need an electric stove for doing my canning with the coils. not glass top. Excuse me, hairball. Anyways, and just when I said that, one came up free on the internet, I was like, gotta go get it. He's like, I just really don't. He just didn't want to do it that day. Didn't want to do it. But the Kratky is really cool. Look into that if you guys are looking at growing inside. Papa Jim said the other day, he goes, I want to grow tomatoes. He wants to do cherry tomatoes inside. And I know that that's something that Lisa is starting to do. So he wants to do that. And we were watching a lot of videos and we saw one. Oh my goodness, this man. I thought I was impulsive. But my hubby, let me tell you, we were watching one where a guy had a fish tank outside in his garden, like underneath the canopy, underneath his patio, so it doesn't get direct sunlight, so don't fry the fish. But he's got little fish out there. And sure enough, he did a floating lettuce garden on top of the aquarium. And I said, that's really cool. That's all I said. I was like, wow, that's cool. Welcome back, Rochelle. I said, that's really cool. Next thing I know, Papa Jim's buying a 40-gallon aquarium on a stand. And he says, we need to move this stuff away from this one window, south-facing window. And he's got rocks in there. He's got some aquarium decor in there that suits him. And he's just going nuts. So, and of course, we have to drive. It's going to be a 100-mile round trip just to find fish to put in it. But he's getting everything to set it up for some fish. And then once the fish get established, then we'll put plants on a drain and a fill and drain system. So the pump for the fish tank will pump water up into the tray for the plants and then drain back down in, and they will be soilless, just like Kratky. And that will be its own system. So we'll have more plants. So we have plants in the kitchen. Plants are going to be up here behind me. Plants are going to be in the fish aquarium and then the full garden. The trouble with induction hobs is can't get a light for your fag. I don't even know if I can say it that way. I want to be careful how I say it. I want some Roma tomatoes and cherry tomatoes too. Yes. I'm happy to report I have the right colors of thread. I need to finish my quilt and don't have to go buy any. Yay. Isn't that wonderful when that happens? Isn't it awful when you get to the end of a project and you don't have enough, you have to go buy more, and sometimes the dye lot is off, or then you've got more that you have to do something with. Always, always. It's good that you've got just what you need. I just purchased the all-new Bale book of canning. Oh, the Ball book. I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses on. Ball book of canning and preserving. Oh, that's so wonderful. That's wonderful. And to get the updated ones too is a good thing to have. Those are like your canning Bibles right there. So that's good that you've got that. Hope Dealer, have you done canning in the past, or did you just get this new book to add to your collection? Oh, you know what I'm doing, guys? I'm going to edit this out. I'm going to edit it and get it out soon. So everybody in here, you're invited to participate in this. And I know some of you right now are going to roll your eyes because it's like, oh, it's another collaboration. But I think it's important. So I've already shot the video. I need to edit it and get it up. But I want to invite all of you. I don't have the hashtag even figured out yet. But I want to invite all of you on a collaboration that I'm putting together. And it's going to be, I really want to encourage everybody to put together a binder for when we're in a grid down situation with your top 5. Of course, I want you to have more than 5 in there, but the collaboration is going to be your top 5 grid down recipes to always have on hand, because I cannot tell you how many times in the last 2 years since the world has gotten kind of crazy on us that I have said to friends or family, I'll say, you need to make sure you have that recipe written down. Because if we go grid down, you're not going to be able to just pull up your iPad and get a recipe that you like to make. You need to have your bread recipe. And some people are like, I know it in my head. That's fine, but you still need to have it in a binder. Because what if I have my bread recipe that I love to make? I made it last night for our anniversary. What if I have this bread recipe in my head and I know it by heart? What if I'm not feeling well? What if we're in a grid down situation and we don't have anybody come around for days and I'm injured or I'm sick, and Papa Jim or my daughter-in-law or somebody, my granddaughter, somebody's going to have to make bread? I've got the recipe right there in the binder. I got some tried and true grid down recipes in that binder And so I'm going to have a collaboration for everybody to share your top 5 recipes for a grid down binder. And that way, if Rochelle or if Gwen puts in a recipe, if they participate in this collaboration, they're like, this is my grid down recipe. This is my top 5. I might say, oh, I never thought of that recipe. And then I can take that recipe, put it in my grid down binder. So I will be doing that. I have tons and tons of cookbooks. But I want to have something specific that is able to be grabbed if we're in a grid down situation. Let's say worst case scenario, which is something I'm working on following up on some stuff. Worst case scenario, because we do live where there's tornadoes. This house takes a direct hit by a tornado and we aren't able to live in here, but we can go live out in the summer kitchen. I'm not going to have power, but I do have different methods for cooking out there that we can utilize. And I would be able to grab that binder or have that binder somewhere safe in my summer kitchen. So if we're in a grid down situation, I've got things that we can make out there based on some basic supplies if we're not able to live in the house while things are getting handled after a tornado or whatever. There's been times that my sister's farm is 1 mile away, but we're on different power companies. So sometimes I'll have power, but that farm doesn't have power and vice versa. She's gone through an ice storm where they didn't have power for like 8 days. Well, if you don't have power for 8 days, you're not cooking, you're not getting water. What are you going to do? And so we have these alternative ways of cooking, and it would just be nice. I mean, sure, you can grab your recipe book and you've got recipes for things to make, but if you don't have a way to cook them, or if you don't have a way to cook them specifically for what you have available to you, this is what I'm talking about. And I'll get caught up on the Gail's power went out today. I have several spirals with recipes written down, plus a massive recipe book collections. Massive is your husband's term. That's wonderful. What I want everybody to think about, though, is simplifying to one binder for a grab and go grid down situation. I have tons of homesteading availability books, recipe books, the old community recipe books that the ladies' churches put out. I've got all that. But that can be overwhelming in a situation. But if you've just got a grab and go, you need to have a grab and go for your recipes and also have something in there that's in the back for your important paperwork, just in case. It's a grab and go, run out the door. That's what I'm talking about. So Gwen went for power without power for 2 weeks because of a hurricane. I've not canned in the past, but not as much as, you have canned in the past, Hope Dealer, but not as much as you'd like. It's really neat. I think we kind of all go through seasons. Sometimes we can, and then we take a little break, and then we can again, and you learn more and more and more. It's so wonderful, wonderful. So anyways, regardless of what you have on your shelf for your recipe books, I want to do a collaboration for your top 5 grid down recipes that you can use in an off-grid situation should you find yourself in that situation. I think more than ever it's important to have that. And like I said, I was mentioning to a friend of mine, and this was in the beginning of 2020, and I said, you need to make sure you have some of these things on hand, because if things get tough, you're going to need to bake bread or whatever. She goes, oh, I know my bread recipe. And she goes, and I can always just pull it up online. I pull it up online when I need it. And I said, but if we don't have internet, she goes, when would we not have internet? Well, if you don't have power, your routers aren't working, you don't have internet. Where we live, there's times we don't have cell service, so I can't even get it on my phone. If you're down 8 days, do you have everything set up and ready so that you can charge with a USB to charge your little devices so that you can get the recipe off that you have saved in your pictures? Do you? What if you don't? Are you scrambling to get what you need? I've got a great video for your blackout box. Everything I need is in my blackout box. I can grab it in a heartbeat, and I've got everything I need for grid down for short term. We had an instance where she was like, okay, well, now we haven't had internet for 2 days. And not only that, now she can't find yeast because I told her, make sure you stock up on stuff to bake your bread. She was really upset that she could not bake bread. They couldn't get bread at our store. She was hurting. And it's like, see, you need to have your recipes, your tried and true favorites. I can go downstairs right now to my library of cookbooks and I can come up probably with 100 different bread recipes. They're not my tried and trues. I've got my tried and true, easy 3-ingredient bread recipe, and I could cook it in a solar oven. I can cook it in a rocket stove if I need to, in a Dutch oven. I've got different ways to bake my bread if I don't have an oven available to me. So these are things I'm talking about. I want everybody to start really thinking about their grid down recipes, come up with your top 5. It's something I want to do. Anybody seen or heard anything of Barefoot Lass within the last few days? Getting a little concerned. I have not. Maybe she's on vacation. Let's think positive. Maybe something wonderful. Holy sheet recipes. I like that hashtag. That's good. And that's catchy. I might use that. Rochelle. So the collaboration is the book of things we can do. Count me in. Thank you. Thank you. You can bake in a barbecue. Absolutely. If you've got the proper equipment, you sure can. Dutch oven, your casserole dishes, you can absolutely do that. Laura has a stack of them. It's wonderful. Just trying to go back a little bit today. And, like I said, I think a lot of us in this new homestead community fashion, which Denise says, that we just called that life. She grew up on a farm. She goes, that's just life. Now it's trendy to call it a homesteading thing. We all have our little homestead recipes and cookbooks and all that. But when holy sheet recipes, when that hits the fan, you have to have something you can grab. You have to have your blackout box at the ready. You have to have, it's really important that you have a lot of copies of your important documents and something you can grab and go. Just south of us this last year, there's a beautiful flower farm. Took a direct hit from the tornado. Everything but the house. Every single thing on their farm but the house. But if it would have hit the house, would they know where their insurance papers are? Would they know where their important documents are? Put it in a binder, get it into a really sturdy safe, upload it, and keep it somewhere where you can obtain it if you have to. But sometimes we're just not prepared for those things. I've been preparing for 8 years that we've lived on this farm, and I'm still not fully prepared. Still not fully prepared. Okay, so Gail says that Barefoot Lass has been commenting, so that's wonderful. Hello, Homestead Love. Welcome in. Is it windy at your place today too? My goodness, we're taking a beating here in Middle America with the winds. My goodness. That coffee's cold. So that's going to be a collab coming up because I really want people to think about having one of these binders. My binder's got several recipes in it right now, but I went through and I found my favorite top 5. 2 different ways to make bread. What else did I pick out? A main dish that I can bake in my solar oven. A dessert, because if you're grid down and you're not living in your home for several days, but you're not bugging out to another location, it's going to get, you have to have something to boost your spirits, right? And so it's kind of nice that I know in my mind, I know where I've got my food stores. I know where I've got things put away, diversified, and I've got the means and availability. If I want to put together a nice little cobbler and I want to cook it in my sun oven, or like Rochelle said, you could bake in a barbecue if you had to, a kettle grill, anything like that. I've got the availability, because if you're having a really down day, sometimes there's just not going to be anything better than putting together your rocket stove and making a pot of coffee the old-fashioned cowboy way, and then putting together a cobbler and cooking it in a Dutch oven with ashes from a fire or in your solar oven and having a little bit of cobbler. These are things I'm talking about. These are things I'm talking about, going back to where if you didn't have any modern day, I got the hiccups now, modern day conveniences, what are your top 5 recipes? My sister, and I'm not throwing shade on my sister at all. You print off a lot of your recipes. That's what I'm talking about, Gwen or Rochelle. Printing them off, getting them in a binder. They're handy. If I'm sick and I tell Papa Jim, I need you to bake bread, he's got that binder. Instead of having all of those cookbooks and me trying to explain to him what cookbook it's in, I've got my blue binder. Oh my gosh, I think I've got it right here. Hang on. I do. And I think I made two videos. One of them is how to put together this binder for yourself, and the other is the top 5. But I've got my binder, and I've got all of my little tabs. I use my label maker up here. It's got everything I need in here. And it's got I've got all my stuff in here about dehydrating, but I've got these little dividers, these pocket dividers, and they've got the envelope slots in them. So for instance, right here, I've just put my little thing in here for when I make my sauce. But I've got my artisan bread recipe right here. This is my 3-ingredient recipe. And I've got everything I need here for my daughter, my sons, my granddaughter, my husband. If I'm not feeling well and I tell them we're in a grid down situation, because our farm is family central. If we find ourselves in a bad grid down situation, this is home base. Everybody comes here. So I have to have everything ready for everybody to help each other in a situation where I'm going to be feeding 10 or 12 people. And I've got my recipes. So I've got all of my little things here in this binder for grid down situation. And I've been putting this together for a couple years. And granted, I could have so much more in here. But I mean, here's my entree right here. And this is cooked in my solar oven. And everything is dehydrated ingredients. Everything is in buckets for long term that we can pull, like I said, from diversified locations, put together a really hearty meal and serve it for 10 people. And I know I'll be okay. And it's going to cook in the solar oven on a day where we have solar. Don't have solar, we'll do it over a fire. So those are the kind of things I'm talking about. So yes, print them off. I know my chocolate chip recipe by heart. Yes, but does anybody else know it? That's the point. Print it out, have it ready, pass it on. I like the 5-minute method of bread. Share it. I love that bread recipe that I've got right there. Is 3 ingredients plus water, and you don't have to knead it. It just does its own thing. I love it. Homestead Love says, yes, the winds have been cool and crazy. Oh, somebody's here. Hang on a second. I've got so many cords I'm tripping over. My propane man is here. I'm just going to let him do his thing and fill up our propane. That way we know we've got enough propane. Where do you get a solar oven? I'll tell you where we got ours. There's lots of different places where you can get a solar oven. We got ours from the All American Sun Oven Company. So just look that up. And it is an investment. This one was a pretty penny. Now my friend in Tennessee got one that's more collapsible. You can take it camping with you. Didn't cost nearly as much, but the one that we got, I really, really like it. I've cooked everything in there. And it even comes with a thing where instructions on how to sterilize your water in there. You can dehydrate in there. It's got a turkey rack. It's big enough. You can cook a whole turkey in there if you need to. Really great company and family owned and based. And I've not regretted getting that solar oven. I love it. When the summertime hits, I use it all the time. However, I also have a video where I baked orange cranberry muffins when it was 11 degrees outside and snow. The only issue I had was I really had to tilt that sun oven to catch the sun because it was so farther south than it normally is. But as that sun comes more central in the summertime, I cook in it almost every day. Almost every day I'm putting stuff out there. My husband and the kids, they all had like a crab bake or crawfish bake or something last year, and they were all doing their own thing. I set up my sun oven and I got one of my buttercup squash, some potato, some beets, got a lot of root things, and I cut it all up, some carrots, cut them up, and I just put them out in the sun oven, and I just let it bake. Oh, they were so delicious. Really, really good. You are making me hungry, and it's coming up for dinner time. I really should think about cooking. You thought about it, but you decided against it. It's the thought that counts. That's true. So, I don't know. I'm just kind of I go through phases where I kind of get into my little prepare for the worst situation, and then I do some things, and then I'm like squirrel, crochet, and then something else, and I've got my meals in a jar, and we came up with I shouldn't say we came up with, we purchased something the other day that's going to work really good for water if we're in a grid down situation. All these little things I try to think of, and I became very serious about it. We've been doing it, like I said, 8 years here on the farm. Because when we first moved on the farm, my sister said, when we first moved on the farm, while they were moving on the farm, they had an ice storm. While they were moving onto their farm, their moving truck slid on the ice and went into the ditch at their driveway, and they had to offload everything and carry into the house. And then those drivers that were delivering their furniture actually had to stay with them in this farmhouse with no power, no running water, no food to really speak of. And they had to just hunker down during this ice storm. And she said, you need to be prepared. You need to start getting some of these things in order. And so we started slowly. But then when the derecho came through Iowa a few years ago, and she's moved away. She's not on this little farm next door anymore. She moved a little bit south of us, and she called me one day. She goes, how are the winds there? And it's like, they're kind of like they are today. She sent me pictures, trees down everywhere, no power. The derecho really did some terrible, terrible damage across our state. I mean, there's a video of a guy in a building, and he opens the door. He shuts himself in a bathroom, opens the door, and the roof is doing this. Shuts the door, and then all of a sudden you just hear the whole building go. And it's blackout. After the derecho stops, he opens the door. Everything's gone. There's a car sitting there. The whole building is gone, and all of a sudden there's a frog sitting there next to him. Like the roof blew off and frogs are flying. Craziness. It was a crazy storm. It went for like over 100 miles and just did terrible devastation. And my sister didn't have lights ready. She didn't have an alternate source for lights. Now, luckily, she was smart enough that she said, you know what? We've still got some little solar lights out in the garden. So she went and brought those inside so they'd have a little bit of that to look at. She didn't have propane for her barbecues. She didn't have any way to cook any food. All of the stores are down because they can't check you out because their computers are down. There was nothing. And I think she survived on like peanut butter and bread for 5 days because there was no food to be had. There was no way to cook it even if she wanted to. Couldn't even flush their toilets because you're on city water and the power plants are down for the water. So she couldn't even get water to put in a bucket to flush the toilets. I think there were 3 of them in their house at that time. So for 5 days, no food, no running water, no way to flush the toilets, all these things. And that's when I really started thinking, I need to have a blackout box. I need to have some alternative things. That's why I bought that little luggable loo that I told my story about last week, because in a grid down situation, if we don't have toilets available to us, this mama's not squatting behind a bush. I mean, I can try, but I'm going to fall down and I'm not going to get back up. It's not going to be graceful. But I got a luggable loo, and I can just pop that baby right on top of a 5-gallon bucket, and we're good to go in a grid down situation. When does the collaboration start? How do we do this? Is there a hashtag? I have to edit. How about I edit that video today? I'll edit the video today and I'll get it up. I'll put it up maybe to release tonight if I have time. Today or tomorrow. So I'll get that video up, and Rochelle suggested a really funny hashtag up above. I didn't write it down and I should have. I'm going to get that. Actually, let me do it, because once this live ends, holy sheets recipe. I love it. Let me grab a piece of paper. This is my big, thick, look how thick this notebook is. It's full of ideas for my YouTube videos. I'm constantly adding to it. I mean, my gosh, look at this script. Chicken scratch everywhere of stuff that I've got. I mean, it's just page after page after page of stuff that we're doing for videos and prepping and everything we've got here on the farm. And, I know that YouTube and other people don't like the word prepping, but when you move onto a farm, when you move onto a homestead, every day is making sure that you are in a survival mode to get through whatever. I've shared with you some of the things that my sister went through, but we've had times here where we've had blizzards blow through, and people will drive when they're not supposed to, and they get stuck out on these gravel roads. And we had a minivan down the road from us one time. It was completely covered in snow. A minivan. Think how tall a minivan is. It was mounded in snow. It sat there for a couple of weeks. I don't know where the person went to, but we get snowed in here for sometimes 7, 8, 9, 10 days here on the farm, and we're not going anywhere. And it gets cold, and we have to have our supplies. So I started kind of looking into that. So it is hashtag holy sheets. Holy sheet recipes. I really like that, Rochelle. I really like that. Let's see what the new comments say. It looks like you have a baby chicken stuck to your face in your logo. Hello, Detective John Kimball. Well, your detective skills serve you well. I do have a little baby chicken there. Not stuck. It chose to be there. It's being loved. But yes, I do have a baby chicken there. I even have I have a coffee mug it's a coffee mug with me and that little chicken. It says, "Wrap your mitts around 2 hot chicks." It's kind of fun. So you like the idea, Laura? Okay. Detective John, I like your profile picture there. You're like really, really surprised. I'm wondering what you found. Everybody behave yourselves, though. Behave. So I will try to get that. I will try to get that collaboration together today, and we will get that up. And then I would love to see everybody's hashtag holy sheet recipes. I love that, Rochelle. That's funny. There goes my propane man. Now the dogs will settle down. No comment, says the Major. Thank you for refraining, Major, and behaving yourself. So that's kind of it. I've got several videos. I think I saw Danny popped in here earlier. I did my video for the 5 things I will grow and the 5 things I won't grow again. I need to get that edited and up. I did. I went to the Amish market. So I've got an Amish market haul that's already edited and that's scheduled to go. Or the chick is growing a head out of its back. You have a unique way of looking at things, Detective John Kimball. Are you the type of person that looks at clouds and sees strange things? I do. I do love things like that. So, so we've got a few things coming up. We've got a collaboration coming up. It sounds like everybody's been really neat, busy doing some fun things. I love that. Gwen says she wishes she had Amish markets there. Yeah, at the Amish market, my neighbor took me one year, and Denise and I still need to plan a trip to go out there. But I love to go once or twice a year. And I love to wait till you see this video and the stuff I got. I'm telling you, I just love going out there for my spices, my herbs. I got barley this time. They were a little short on some of the things that I love to get, but I'll get them next time. Hopefully they'll get these things again. I love getting my Amish butter out there and then making my own ghee. I like to do that, but they didn't have any butter this time. And they do have wheat berries, and I want to get a really nice mill and some wheat berries so we can make our own flour. That is a negative, John. That is a negative. I'm in a zero tolerant state. Doesn't happen. But I love going to the Amish markets. So, and we're going to drop that topic, Mr. Detective John, because we want to be safe here. I want to make ghee. Kansas Misfit, I have a really nice video up on how to make ghee. I made it in my turkey roaster. So I made it out in the summer kitchen in my turkey roaster. It's a very relaxing process. And this is something that I've been discussing with my friend down in Tennessee. She says she's been looking in how to make ghee. And she says, some people just cook it and cook it and cook it and cook it. And then they put it through a cheesecloth and they squeeze all the oil out of the cheesecloth and then they put it away. And I asked her, I said, I want you to think about that compared to the way that I make it. My method takes a little bit longer, but I find it very cathartic and relaxing to scoop the oil the way that I do and get it into my jars to put it in the pantry. But if you pour everything over a cheesecloth and then you squeeze it, what are the chances that you're going to squeeze a little bit of the whey and the milk solids and things that you don't want in your ghee, because you want it to be shelf stable? And if you're going to be squeezing this stuff in here, you might get something in there that's not going to stay shelf stable. Also, if you have someone who's lactose intolerant and you're making the ghee for that purpose, you're going to be squeezing all of that whey and all of those milk solids into your oil, and then that might upset their tummy. So I love making the ghee the way that I make the ghee, and I have a great video for you on that. Okay, check that one out. It's clarified butter. I love making it. I love frying our eggs, our farm fresh chicken eggs in it. Love using it for baking, and I just love having it on the shelf. I put it on the shelf. I think the last time I made it was this last summer. I think I made 7 jelly jars of ghee, and I went to go get some the other day to make some eggs, and I've already used it all up. I didn't quite make enough. Order butter cloth from New England Cheese Company. What is ghee? Ghee is clarified butter. It's had the whey and the milk solids removed from it, so you're just left with liquid gold. It is the oil, the butter fat. So there's no milk solids in it for anybody who has tummy issues, if they're lactose intolerant, and it has a really high smoke point. So if you've ever fried eggs in butter, and you could have your flame really low and it's still going to turn brown and crusty and nasty and sometimes ruin your fried eggs. This has a smoke point of 485 degrees. It's wonderful for making popcorn, for frying your eggs, using and baking, and it's shelf stable. So I can take that butter that I have to keep in the freezer or the fridge, turn it into clarified butter, put it into jars, and keep it in my pantry for a couple of years, and it's not going to spoil. So if I lose power here at the farm, I've got butter. It's not the kind of butter where you can like make some toast and then spread it on and act like it's butter. It's not going to have that exact same flavor. When you cook it down, it kind of takes on a little bit of a nutty flavor. Very, very good. Are you coming to do the all that washing up and do all the washing? Are you coming to do the all that washing up and all the washing? Milk oil. Yes. Butter oil. Butter oil, not milk oil. Thank you, Laura. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So I lost my train of thought, what I was thinking about. I lost my train of thought. Anyways, so we'll be doing some fun things coming up. And now I can't remember what it is, except I wrote down my hashtag. Thank you, Rochelle. I certainly do appreciate that. And we'll be putting that out. I'll be putting some videos out here. You're making a lot of mess to make ghee. Not really. I'm not making a lot of mess to make ghee. I have my turkey roaster in my summer kitchen. It's always set up there for me to make something. It's got the rack in it. The only dish that I'm using to make it is a glass dish that I put my butter in, and I set it in my turkey roaster that's already setting out. Some people cook it on the stove, so they're using a saucepan. I'm just using a glass dish. I use a spoon to ladle it out into my jelly jars, where other people are using a glass jar with the cheesecloth and these other things. They've got a lot more to wash up than I do. They've got a lot more. Hello, Glenda, welcome. I love the way that I make the ghee. I use really, truly just my funnel and a couple of things, and I don't mind the cleanup. It's not a lot of cleanup, and I love the simplicity in it. I love that I let the oven do the work for me. My little roaster does the work for me, where people who do it on the stove, they have to constantly keep an eye on it. And I love the end product. It's so beautiful and so delicious. Really, really great stuff. So it's one of those things that I had discussed before. If you say ghee, if somebody said to me, would you like some ghee? I would be like, ooh, gross. That sounds awful. I don't want it. But then once you learn what it is and you learn the process and you actually use it, you realize it's a beautiful product. And I always have to have it. So now I have to find some really good grass-fed butter to, and I love having my grass-fed butter, and I love having butter in the freezer. I love having it in the fridge for different applications for things I use it for. But I love having it in the pantry for when I need it. And there's a lot of people, I belong to some groups where they're like, I don't make ghee, I just can my butter. You do you. I prefer to make the ghee because canning butter still has the milk solids in it. And I'm a rebel canner, but I'd rather make the ghee. I love the process. And then once I get done making it, I don't have to put it in my canner. I don't have to process it on top of processing it. I'm only melting it, getting what I need from it, and putting it away. Am I going to do a video? I'd love to learn. On ghee, yes, I have a video, Glenda. If you go back and check, I have a video that I did last summer where I made ghee in my summer kitchen. It has a really pretty thumbnail. You'll be able to find it very easily. If I've got a mod that can drop it, that would be great. It is used a lot in Indian cuisine. Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's good stuff. But I just, in that video, I just spend my time taking the oil off the product and canning it. And that's where my friend said, you spend a lot of time out there doing it. Yeah, I do. I do. There's something very relaxing about, I love my friend, so I'm not throwing shade, I should get a cow. My barn blew over, so I can't get a cow. I don't have a safe place to put my cow, but I grew up with cows. But a wind blew my barn away. My friend is very go, 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 go. Whenever she comes out here to visit the farm, I'm always trying to get her to just kind of like, just relax. But she's in that go, go, go frame of life still. You know, she lived in a very, very populated, busy area. She is a professional in the medical field, and she's go, go, go. And when she comes out here, it takes her a few days to get out of that go, go, go atmosphere. And now she's moved. She's no longer in that busy, busy part of her life. And she's starting to put some food up. She's starting to grow a garden. She's starting to do some things. And that's why she was looking into different ways to make ghee. And she says, it seems like it's a lot faster if you just do it this way. It is. But I want you to relax a little bit and enjoy the process. And it's cathartic to just kind of let everything go and just enjoy the simplicity of spooning out that beautiful butter oil and getting it into your jars. And it's relaxing. You just need to learn to relax. That's what it is. Major had a cow, but he swapped it for some beans. We're not in Kansas anymore. The wind blew us away. It's wind. Is it windy down there too? Where you are? Oh my gosh, it's so windy up here today. Yeah, you need to slow down. I remember the first time that my friend came out for a visit after we moved on to the farm, and I was taking her to the American Gothic house. You know, the picture of the man and the woman with the pitchfork, and they're standing in front of that house. That's here in Iowa. And I was going to take her to go see that, and we got behind a tractor. And so I slowed down. I turned on my blinkers so anybody coming up over a rise on the hill would see that there's something ahead of them. And I just slowed down and I stayed behind the tractor. And she was like anxious. She was fidgeting. She was like, you need to pass this tractor. It's like, why? She goes, I can't stand it. I can't stand being behind the tractor. We need to go, go, go. You got to get around it. Well, it wasn't safe, for one thing. I mean, if it's safe, I'll go around because we do have things to do that day. But it's not worth my life. It's not worth her life. It wasn't worth the life of her husband in the back seat, my sister in the back seat, and the farmer. I know people out here who they've lost their spouses because people get impatient and they have to pass that tractor, or they have to pass in a place where it's not safe and the tractor gets hit, and there's not a lot of protection in some of those tractors for those farmers. So I don't have to put everybody's life on the line just to get around the tractor because we can't handle going 20 miles an hour. When the road opens up, I'll pass it. It's okay. And she was like this in the front. She's like, I can't stand it. I can't stand it. It's like, just relax. And it takes her a few days. Unfortunately, even if I have her for a week, by the time she finally gets relaxed enough where she can kind of let some of that go, it's time for her to fly back home. Thank you, Gail. Must have been a nasty cow for a lot of beans. So, I mean, that's all part of this is just, it's something that I discussed with my son the other day, and he's brought it up a few times because he had I don't want to say a medical emergency, but something that was very pertinent that we take a trip up to the hospital. And he's said it a few times. He says, I'm at the stage in my life where I want my last few minutes in this world to be filled with beautiful memories. And I've not looked into this, but he says it all the time. He says, when you die, your brain still functions for like 10 minutes. And that's where people say that their life flashes before their eyes. He says, I don't want my flashes to be times at work, times of stress, times where I rushed. I want it to be the things I'm missing right now. I want it to be memories of my family, memories of trips, memories of good things, memories of happy times. And so he's really trying to make that switch. And this is what I want for my friend when she comes out to visit. This is what I want for all of my friends here. Yeah, you can find recipes to do ghee like that. Cook it up, boil out all the nasty stuff and get it into the cabinet. Or you can make it a beautiful gift to yourself of just taking some time. Leopards run around at stupid miles per hour, live for about 16 to 20 years. The tortoise, top speed, very minimal, lives for hundreds of years. Good lesson there, Major. Good lesson. Mine don't function, full stop. It's true. I was minutes from dying in December. He's right. Yep. I know. When and I've shared this with some of you before, when they were taking me into surgery when I was diagnosed with ovarian cancer, they called the priest. As I'm being wheeled into the elevator, I reach for my husband's hand, and behind him, there's a priest coming. And you prioritize things differently. And I was also sharing in Yogi Hollow Farm and Mountain Grandma. They go live on Tuesdays with their 7 F's, and it's a goal building exercise that they're taking everybody through. And I had commented that since moving out of that metropolitan area where we used to live, coming back here to Iowa, getting onto the farm, we don't make nearly as much money as we used to. Papa Jim used to make very good money. Paychecks aren't what they used to be. We don't have the big, beautiful semi-custom home. We don't have all of the vehicles and the boat and the RV with the 2 fireplaces in it. We don't have all that stuff anymore. We live in a 1902 farmhouse with an old rusted out farm truck and a 1940 something tractor. And sometimes we lose power, and sometimes we get snowed in. And we don't have all the big fancy stuff anymore. And Papa Jim doesn't bring in the big money anymore. We're the happiest we've ever been. We're the happiest we've ever been. Life is simple. Life is sweet. Sure, my dogs get sprayed by skunks every once in a while, and it makes it a little difficult. But happier than we've ever been because we've let so much of that go. So if you have to give yourself a couple hours to sit down and just let everything go and put on some really relaxing music, or don't even put music on, just listen to the wind chimes. In that video, I added some background music, but the day that I made the ghee, I listened to the wind chimes, and I listened to my chickens, and I listened to the songbirds. I just relaxed and I made ghee. And I love my summer kitchen. I love being able to just go out there and do things like that instead of rush. I have to get this task done and get on to the next task. Say vehicle? My rusted out vehicle? Why do you like how I say vehicle? Vehicle? Is that one of those funny words for you, the way I say it? Did I put a twang on it, or did I just say vehicle and it sounds funny? Do you say vehicle differently over in London? Is it vehicle, or do you did I put the emphasis on the wrong syllable is what I want to know. Do you put the emphasis on another syllable? Well, if saying vehicle is what makes you laugh, Major, then my job is done here today. I'm glad I was able to make you laugh. So I will be doing some videoing today. You guys want a sneak peek? Look. I shared this in my tutorial on Monday. Here's the sneak peek of our current block that we'll be doing. Doesn't it look like a pretty honeycomb? Going to be doing this video so I can have that up for tomorrow for our Afghan crochet along. It's a personal conveyance. Okay. No, just going to be doing some videos. I'll work on that hashtag holy sheets recipes. God, I love that. That's so clever. So clever. And getting some editing done and getting some videos up. And I've already got dinner ready for Papa Jim. Oh, that's what I was going to tell you guys. I made something new for dinner last night for Papa Jim. And he came home last night and I said, change into something comfortable, get out of your uniform. We're going to have dinner. And if you don't like it, we'll go out for Chinese food. He says, why wouldn't I like it? I said, well, no, it's not moths. It's a honeycomb and they're pretty arches, Major. They're pretty. Up close, they're beautiful. I actually made, now for those of you who don't know coming in, I don't consume meat. I don't eat meat or meat products, byproducts. Now I will have the butter because the butter came from a living being. That thing was not killed to get that element. Yes, I understand later their process, but at that moment they weren't killed to get it. So I will have honey, I will have dairy, but I will not have something that died for me to ingest it. So I made a pot roast last night for our anniversary dinner. It was baby carrots, baby red potatoes, and pot roast. But the pot roast is this really unique fruit from, I believe, Indonesia. It's called the jackfruit. It is the craziest looking thing. It's about this big. They cut it out of trees and split it open, and it has all of this fruit, fleshy stuff in there. He's very clever. I'm sure he probably wouldn't mind going out for a Chinese meal every once in a while. We do have a little favorite place we like to go to. But this jackfruit is a substitute for pork and beef in some different dishes. So I made pot roast out of some jackfruit last night. And so I told him, I said, if you don't like it, we'll just run into town and get Chinese. And we sat down and he took his first few bites. And I'm ready to pop up off the couch and run into town and have Chinese because some of my vegetarian meals don't go over well with him, but he never really says anything. He's a good sport. And he took a few bites. I said, well, he goes, tastes like pot roast to me. I said, really? He goes, yeah, I like it. I was like, okay. He's probably he's being nice because A, it's our anniversary, and B, dinner's good. And he eats it and he goes, is there more? I'm like, yeah, there's more. He got up, he got seconds. So he must have liked it because he had seconds. So I made some really neat jackfruit pot roast. It's the craziest thing. I'm going to do jackfruit carnitas for some nachos and maybe some jackfruit pulled barbecue, like pulled pork sandwiches. So no Chinese for us last night. We had some jackfruit, and that turned out really, really good. I'm actually going to do a video on it. Not that I expect all of you to run out and get jackfruit, but for those who ever search for something to make out of jackfruit, hopefully it'll pop up in the algorithm and they'll be able to do that. How was the dog this morning? Which one? I got 4 of them, plus the wiener dog. Wiener dog's sitting up here. He's doing fine. All of the dogs are fine, Major. Everybody's taking a nap right now downstairs while I'm up here with you guys here today. But I don't know if there's an inside joke I'm missing there, Major, but all of the dogs are fine. Nobody's been sprayed by skunks lately. And everybody's happy and healthy, and they're getting all of their little treats that Papa Jim gives them all the time, even though the vet has told him to back off on the treats. And everything is good. Everything's good here on the farm, except for the wind. If I could just get the wind to just stop for a little while so we can get some work outside, that would be great. But we're going to be putting some more plants together for our Kratky method. We're going to be working on getting our garden cleaned up. We're going to be working on getting the chicken coop and the new chicken run all put together, and new fun projects with our 55-gallon drums that we found on the side of the road. He did eat it. Oh, are you saying that he fed it to the dogs? No, he ate it. Anyways, we're going to be doing lots of fun things. So on that note of doing fun things, I've got things I've got to do today. I could sit here and talk all day because that is really one of my things, is talking. But I'm going to let you guys go. I thank you so much for joining me for our coffee time here this morning. I hope you guys had a nice visit. I enjoyed visiting with you guys, and look forward for Holy Sheet's recipes, Holy Sheet. And we've got our crochet video coming out tomorrow. I'm going to try to get a Tangles and Yarns video ready for Friday, and just got lots of stuff coming. Also, I think Papa Jim and I are going to be putting together an additional live coming up, a celebratory live. We'll let you guys see what you think the celebratory will be. I'm not going to give too much of it away, but we will be doing a celebratory live. So keep an eye out for that. Have a great day, Lisa and Major. And Garden Lynn, we will see you later. Garden Lynn, Heather Lynn. See, I'm tired. Goodbye, Gail. Rochelle, everybody in the chat, thank you so much for spending your morning with me. And I hope you guys all have a great day, great weekend, and we will see you on Saturday. Okay? Bye, guys. We'll talk to you soon. And broadcast.